Welcome to the Wild Cannons podcast. We're in a new studio today, so we're excited about that. We're in a little different order. So to my right, we have Jeff. Jeff, how you doing?
Always good.
Always good. Good to hear. Across from her, we have Ryan. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. No complaints. Nice digs. Good spot here. I like it.
Like in the new place. We do have our special guest, Mason. Mason, how you doing?
So good. I'm doing well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Mason Sutter here. I like to believe that you are part of this staple of the second wave of this Mount Spokane terrain park. Handy with the steel. You rode with like Jake Rose, Josh Wing, part of that crew. You went to a lot of local rail jams, regional rail jams. Again, handy with that steel. I would say a park rat, but I don't want to overstep my boundary there, but that's when I think of you. And kind of think of that as where we first met. We were kind of talking about this before in the parking lot, but we actually met in a parking lot. And I think it was a Crush event, Snowboy event that was in the valley.
Just a bunch of parking lot rats.
Just parking lot rats. But you were always part of that scene. You were always there. I always saw you around, even though I didn't know you personally. Yeah, I mean, I guess as coming up, you were just part of that growth, and you're a special part of the Mount Spokane Terrain Park story. And it's pretty awesome to get connected with you because you did help shape the park that it is today. So we're excited to have you here. You did drive up. So where are you coming from?
Well, thank you for that introduction. I appreciate it. I just got in town today, actually, from Hood River, Oregon, is where I've been for coming up right on 5 years right now. So
right on. So
yeah.
So made the drive up just for us, right?
Yeah, just for this right here. I'm heading out in about an hour and a half. So yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, we're stoked to have you. We talked about hitting some smelling salts to start off, but before we do that, I do have a question because I don't know for sure, but it has to do with maybe us wanting to poach something that you had of where you lived growing up.
Oh yeah.
Do you know where I'm wading into this?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
All right. So for the listeners, you want to maybe share where you grew up and maybe what you had in your front or backyard. That I know myself, and I was just talking to Viz about this, is that we would see it and we're always like, that is something that we wanted to hit.
Yeah, definitely. So I actually grew up on the South Hill, and then until like 5th grade, and then I moved to Utah and spent like my middle school years there, and then we relocated back to Spokane to the north side. And my parents still live out there. I went to Mount Spokane High School, grew up right down the road. But our house is on the way to Mount Spokane. You pass the roundabout, and we're right there on the left-hand side. And my good buddy, like main riding homie in high school, actually the first dude I met when I showed up at Mount Spokane as a new kid, freshman year, was Skylar Powell. And we started brainstorming. Like we'd had some skate rails we'd set up in the backyard, and just kind of, I did the same thing in Utah in our backyard, but we wanted to get like some legit like features going, because Mount Spokane at the time, unfortunately, just wasn't it. There wasn't anything.
Yeah.
Everything was on and kind of janky, and we both skated, and like growing up in Utah, I saw what a terrain park could be, and not to say that it was a kind of a downgrade. I came back and it was kind of rough. Yeah. We couldn't hit anything from the side. So anyways, long story, but we built a pretty sweet rail like when we were 14 or 15 out in my parents' backyard, and that thing had like a 20-year run. It lasted a long time. But I would get people hitting me up at the mountain, be like, they started figuring out it was my house. I'm like, dude, I got to come hit that rail. Like, cause you could see it from the highway. It stood out right there on the hillside. So we built a few things out there, but the flat down was.
Yeah. That's exactly what Viz was.
Yeah.
What he was saying.
Yeah. It was fun too. It was a good time. I remember getting truckloads of snow when it was dry in town, and bringing it down and having like a 2-foot path to that thing, just riding out on wheat and rocks and stuff. But
Yeah, that's so awesome. So I didn't know that was actually your place, but I had eyeballed it all the time, and I'm assuming Jeff, you had seen it for years
I
as
wish
well.
I could have sessioned that with.
But I think we all had a little itch to just go walk across that field. But it had a down slope on it too, so that was pretty rad.
Yeah, it was actually a great spot to build it because the hillside went down probably 30 yards, and then it was flat for like 20 feet, and then it just dropped off for a while. So good long run out. Yeah, it was sweet.
Awesome. Yeah, so I had to let that cat out of the bag.
It's probably a good thing you guys never hit that rail. Seeing you guys in steel.
So, I mean,
you probably didn't have a waiver process, So
that made me. I started thinking. Then I was like, did you catch anybody like out there trying to poach that thing?
No. I mean, we had anybody was always welcome. I always told us like, dude, just let me know. You roll up and hit it. But we had some people that I didn't know that well that came over a few times, but usually it's just the homies. Yeah.
Oh,
but
cool.
I'd hear people like, dude, is that your rail in the back? You'd kind of hear that lore at Mount Spokane sometimes. Yeah, it's funny.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
It was a good time. My dad was like, dude, you guys built that thing well. Like he went out there to try and get it out. We buried those posts like 2.5 feet down. And by then it was just cemented in. So he finally had the guy who plows our fields, like just
rip it
level it. Yeah. Yank it out. So it's kind of a sad day, but it probably didn't get hit for like 10 years at that point, So kind of an eyesore. But
yeah, if you have any photos from that'd be a great one to pull up. So yeah, for those listening, when you're driving out to Mount Spokane, and there was no roundabout at that time, but you turn right at the roundabout, and I don't know, 400 yards, 500 yards,
quarter mile down the road.
Yeah, you'd look over, and then these rails were just talking to you.
I shouldn't even like admit this, but there might be a YouTube 15-year-old YouTube video of us sessioning that thing.
I found some old edits. I didn't see that one.
It's probably it's a deep cut for sure. So don't look.
Don't look.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody, we're all gonna look, and if we can find a link, we'll make sure to try to link it somewhere.
We're all gonna find it right now.
The title is very nondescript for what.
I'm just curious what the music you guys were using.
Oh, that's a great. Yeah, what was the music?
It was a 303 song.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's an awful song. It's like Choke Chain or something like that. I think.
Yeah,
it's probably got the rights pulled by now, but yeah, it's just quiet.
We gotta find it.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that. That was on the top of the list of questions.
Yeah, some good memories out there for sure.
Let's blast off on one of these guys. And you said you hadn't had smelling salt.
No, I'm new to the salts. So.
Yeah. So you can ease into it, or you can just smack it as deep as you want to go.
All right. Yeah, let's rip it. Cheers.
Cheers on that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Brendan, our producer, smacked one in the back there too. That one was all left nostril.
Whew.
Pretty good.
Yeah, they're good
stuff.
stuff.
It works.
Definitely works.
I'm awake.
All right. Good for the allergies.
It is. Clears everything up.
Yeah. Woo. Wow. That's what that's like. All right.
Now that we got that question and that out of the way
for the drive home.
Now you understand how people are landing those double cork 1080s.
Yeah.
2160s.
I needed these at a point in my life.
But we're talking with like Jason Klein as well, like Owen Wyatt's dad.
Yeah.
Perfect for road trips.
Oh yeah.
If you need that little kick, and
those times where you just have to crack the windows and
buy sunflower
hard
seeds.
blinks. Yeah. Dude, that'd be great.
So you talked about growing up here in Spokane. So you're on the South Hill. Then you moved to Utah. Were you in Salt Lake area?
Yeah.
Or where were you at?
Yeah, technically sandy. So it's like right at the base of Little Cottonwood.
Yeah.
So Snowbird, that kind of canyon. But Brighton and Big Cottonwood was like right there too. So it's kind of, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I need to verify this with lingo, but I grew up on 17th and Freya.
Yeah.
And there was a dude down the street when I was a little kid that skated.
But yeah, so he lived on the north side of the street.
Yep.
And it was farther east
Yeah.
than it was towards Freya.
And I was
It's a gray house.
I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Does this driveway kind of like dip down towards his house?
No, it goes pretty flat.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like
The backyard dips.
Okay, yeah. And I remember I would walk down there and like dude was helping me like learn how to skate when I was a little kid and no idea for like 20 years. And then I found out where he lived and just put two and two together. I have not verified that with Lingo, but I'm pretty sure he like inspired me to skateboard.
Oh my gosh.
Which is really sick in hindsight.
Yeah.
Because I remember just like I was a kid, you know, and I would go down there and just watch him like olling over coolers and skating on the side of his house. He was a little bit older.
That sounds like Zach.
Yeah. He was a cool, like the one kind of older dude in the neighborhood that was cool and into cool stuff. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. And then we moved to Utah after my 5th grade year, and I had learned how to. My parents put me on skis when I was like 5 or 6 at Silver. And then I had my uncle who snowboarded. He's like my young uncle. He's cool. We mountain biked. And I was like, take me snowboarding. Like, I want to learn. Like, I don't want to ski. Like, skateboarding's cool. Snowboarding's cool. I want to do that. And he took me up to Schweitzer. And I already had reps on skis. And it was like so hard for me to like relearn something. And so we traded my snowboard in for skis and just went out that day. Because I was like, I can't do it, you know?
Yeah.
And,
What age were you?
I was probably, when I tried snowboard, it was probably 8, maybe 7 or 8.
So still super young.
Yeah, super young. And then I asked my parents, like, I want to learn. Like, I was still wanted to. They put me in some lessons in Mount Spokane. And I remember getting bussed up there. Just like they would drop me off Sprague, and I'd just jump on a bus and go up. So it was like a 3-day thing, but I got my reps in and learned. And then when we moved to Utah, it was like the shit. Like everybody there, the coolest kids were the good snowboarders. It wasn't like football. It was like you snowboarded. And so that was really attractive. I was like, I got to get good. Like I got to get good at this, you know?
Yeah.
So I remember in 6th grade, they had a program after like we got early release on Wednesdays and you could sign up for like a ski club.
That's so awesome.
And they would take you up and I remember you had to write on this form, like your skill level. And me and my buddies were like 10. Like I had probably ridden like 10 days of my life. And I was like, dude, I want because we knew that at that point we'd get more like free reign. We wouldn't be just in lessons. We'd be like, let's just, and we did. We just said, we were like advanced. We are good. Let's do it. And it worked out though. It was sick. Like there was like a teenager that just took us around the mountain at Snowbird and it pushed me to be better fast. And it was cool. We got to like learn how to ride the whole mountain. And so that's where I fell really in love with it. And like also was introduced, there wasn't even terrain parks in Spokane area at the time, you know? I remember going to Silver. And
well, there were, but you know.
There's like a border cross course or something, you know, maybe. I remember hitting like the berms on the border cross course and just like going over the tops of them to flat as a kid. Just like, this is so sick. Like we're getting so much air off this berm.
And Silver tried to have a half pipe at one time.
Yeah, if anything, you might got lucky with like a hand dug pipe or something.
Yeah, 49 I think had the best one.
Natural one.
Yeah, or the dirt
thing.
Yeah,
49. They had the natural pipe for sure.
Yeah. So you're down there, Salt Lake. So Uncle gets you into it. Then you kind of have a friend down there that you're riding with.
Yeah.
And is it when you move back up here that you really start, finding an influence of friends that you're going to start shaping your riding, or did that happen when you were still in?
I'd say like it became skateboarding too, but snowboarding and skateboarding became like my life in Utah. Like every day after school I was skating, and then it snowed a lot in our yard and we had this flat patio, and I put my like skate rail down our like 3-stair and just tried to learn stuff back there by myself. I'd drop it on a recycle bin upside down and just session this rail back there, because like a lot of the kids, I had friends in middle school that are already hitting like, I don't know if you know the rock gardens.
Yeah.
They were like already doing some of the handrails in the rock gardens, and it was just, you just wanted to get good, like learn how to go sideways on rails. And so I got really into it there and had like a group of friends at the time. And then we moved back halfway through my freshman year, and for me, my family was stoked. My sister was stoked. I was really bummed. I didn't want to move back to Spokane. I was like in it in Utah. I liked it. But it ended up being great. I'm really thankful that we did. And we moved out. We were on some property out north, and I couldn't really. I had like a pad to skate on. I was kind of bummed, but I just like we made the most of it. We started building stuff, and Skylar Powell, Tanner McKinley. There's a handful of like Mount Spokane dudes that just met that like knew that I snowboarded. When people learned I was from Utah, and I dressed the part and like was just into it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I found the snowboarders in like our area at that school, and I still snowboard with those guys like every day that I can, anytime I'm up here. So
who would you say out of those, like, so your uncle, the guys in Salt Lake, or that kind of crew, those two guys, who was the biggest influence on you, or helped that like mold or shape you?
Yeah, it's hard to say. There was this kid I met in Utah named Jake Sullivan, and his like family was close to like the Linuses, like Bjorn and Eric Linus, and he was just like so in it. He like knew cool people. He always had like the coolest stickers and like the coolest stuff and all the videos. And so he really influenced me. And I'd stay the night at his house on Fridays. We'd ride Saturday. I'd stay the night Sunday, or Saturday night, and we just ride snowbird, and pushed me a lot. And I was riding with people better than me down there, and so that pushed me a lot. And then when I met like Skylar Powell was like my ride or die in high school. Like we would go to each other's house and watch movies. He would buy one, I'd buy the other, so that we had, you know.
Oh yeah,
and,
we do all that.
Yeah, and so I took a lot of inspiration from a lot of places and like a lot of movies. But yeah, I was a student of the game for sure. I was pretty into it.
Love it.
But it's hard to pinpoint. Like my uncle was the reason, and I don't know. At the time, snowboarding was starting to get cool. Like just the Form 8 was like big. Resistance had just come out. That was like the first snowboard movie I got, and I was just in it. So I took a lot of inspiration from a lot of places, but when I moved back, I kind of had to like find my own path. I was riding alone for a bit, and just kind of making the most of Mount Spokane being my new home mountain. And yeah, it just kind of organically unfolded from there, I think.
Yeah, totally different scene. Were you gonna ask something, or just a totally different scene? But that's awesome that you like that you use the word like, you know, you're pulling from all of that, you know, all these different areas.
Yeah.
To help build that.
Yeah, totally.
The inspiration was from different areas. So that's rad.
There was a couple older guys at Mount Spokane that like you just hear about, like, dude, they're so good, you know, and every once in a while I'd see them like ride by at the mountain or something, but I didn't know them, you know. So there's a couple guys like that you just, there was always just a drive to like get better at it, you know, like a personal thing. Like I just had I don't know. I think growing up in like elementary school, I was never like good at sports, that like basketball, and I'll get picked last, but like to do stuff that I wasn't that into, you know? And so I think there's just this hunger, like I'm kind of good at this. Like I want to get good at it, you know? And that was, I don't know. And I was just, I loved doing it. Even when the weather sucked or like there was not much going on,
and those can be some of the most fun days,
yeah,
especially when you're with a good group and it's, you know, it's those rainy or those slushy days when nobody else is up there and you're still having like a kick-ass time.
Yep. And that's where like, Skylar, Tanner, Jake, Taylor, like some of these high school guys, we would go up, we'd put trash bags on, penguin slide down the run, like see how many times we could spin on our back and like do different grabs while we're like sliding down the run. Like you just, like those guys always made it fun no matter how crappy the weather was. And that was when I really figured out like it's just what you make it, you know. It doesn't have to be a good day. Like if you want to make it that way, you can. Yeah, for sure. Do some silly shit on the mountain for sure.
I know, as much as like we might make fun of like the silver flounders, as we'll call them up there. We do some stupid stuff as well, but as long as you're having fun, I guess that's all that matters.
I remember throwing, the little army guys with parachutes on their back. We'd like go off jumps and throw those in the air and like.
Dude, that's a great idea.
Yeah, just like I think we're gonna have to. I think we're gonna have to do that for sure.
I remember we would fly kites like it's like on the run, and then I remember at Silver like tying them to people's windshield wipers as we left, so they'd come back and there'd be a kite like flying off their car. Just I mean, we just had fun with it. It was always sick. Like those guys, I think. An inspiration for that would be like some of the snowboard movies at the time or like the robot food movies.
Oh, that's so sick.
And they were always just goofing off and having fun. Like the extras in those videos were like, so there's a lot of inspiration like to just have fun with it. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, they really had the lifestyle part of it nailed down.
Yeah.
Of it, when they're looking for street spots, or when they're in Alaska and it is raining and they're jumping on those little like icebergs and playing on the kid toys, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Such a good series of movies. So the home mountains, to kind of recap this part of it, you would say probably snowbird when you were down.
Snowbird.
And then the can when you move back.
Yeah, and then Mount Spokane for sure. Towards the end of high school, Skylar's grandparents had a condo at Schweitzer. So we started once we could drive, we started going up there. I'd get a pass there too. We'd go up Friday after school and stay for the weekend. No, those are some good times too, for sure. Yeah. Just high school kids in a condo with no supervision.
Yeah. Especially before Schweitzer was like this crazy place.
The local. It was definitely a different scene at the time, for sure.
Sweet.
No, home mountain, but you mentioned them all already. 49 Silver.
Yeah, 49 was one I didn't ride much and growing up, and then Silver a little, Silver Saturdays was our thing.
Yeah.
And then I was lucky enough at a time for maybe 2 seasons to get a shop pass from Josh, so I could ride everywhere, and that was sick. So I got a lot of reps at Silver during those times.
Yeah,
which was fun for me because I had already been on every square foot of Mount Spokane at that point, and it was cool to kind of re-explore Silver. And I had a good time up there too.
Nice.
Well, I got a question here. I'm dying to ask this too. So if you can tell us about the Crustache Hood Rat Crew.
Oh yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did. Crustache Hood Rats. Yeah, that was. So I met Josh Wing. He kind of went over it on his episode, but we met at the Falls, and I kind of knew him a little bit. He was pretty well known at Schweitzer, and when I was getting into harder tricks and riding park in the spring, I remember seeing him just hucking at Schweitzer, and I was like, dude, I need to meet that guy. He's just you can just tell. You look at him and you want to get to know him. He had that. He was wearing zebra print pants that were 4X, and just a cool dude though. And we met and we just bonded over snowboarding and started hanging out outside of, met at school, started hanging out outside of snowboarding a bunch. And I had a house in Hilliard with a buddy, and it was kind of the spot for those years in college. And we would go to Schweitzer every weekend. Even if we partied hard on Friday, we'd get up, go get coffee, and get out the door at 7.
Nice.
On little sleep. But I don't know, we always would wear our hood, we'd wear a hoodie under our coat, which I would not do ever now.
I used to do that too.
Yeah, it was a thing, and then you wore your goggles over your hood that was up. Mm-hmm. And we had terrible mustaches.
You got a good one now.
It's come a long way.
Yeah.
I think all the years of it being exposed to the cold, because I can't grow anything else. So, but yeah, and you'd get snow piled in there and stuff. When Josh was the one that came up with the name, but we started just calling ourselves the Crustache Hood Rats, and we'd terrorize Schweitzer, just spraying people. And yeah, it was fun. We'd always roll through. I remember rolling through the park on opening day, and there'd be kids hiking rails and stuff, and we just spray them as we ollied over the rail they were hiking and take off.
I love it.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, we had so many random crew names. I had a French dip crew at one point in high school.
But okay, so before we get to the French dip crew, I want to know who was part of the Crustache Hood Rat Crew.
Dude, that was just Josh and I. There was not a big crew.
All right, so
more crew names.
Yeah. So French dip crew.
That was Skylar, Tanner, Jake, and anybody else that rode with us probably. Yeah, Ryan Campbell. Some names out there for sure. Mount Spokane. That was Mount Spokane crew. It was a one chairlift joke that we just let.
Oh yeah, those are the best. Yeah, those are the best.
And we'd always be dipping the au jus. That was our hand signal or our gang sign. It was so ridiculous.
Even better.
But, yeah.
Board
on the chairlift in Mount Spokane at 7:30 p.m. Come up with some random stuff.
You spend a lot of time on the chairlift. You're gonna come up with a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah.
For sure. Have you ever? Next question here. Do you ever hit any local street spots?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dude, it's funny to think back on that time because the first street spot, I guess it was a golf course spot. It wasn't necessarily, but
Was
it
this
was
the
street.
Crustache Hood
This
Rat
was
Crew?
this was me and Skylar and Tanner.
Oh, so the
like,
French dip,
French
French
dip crew.
dip.
Yeah.
Dude, I love
We
this.
went out and hit a wood handrail at Wandamere Golf Course. It was probably like a 13 stair. And no camera, no nothing. Just went and did it because we wanted to hit something. I hit this other rail at the Y one night in like October. We brought snow down. It snowed.
Is that the yellow one?
No, it's a
or the
wood
lower one?
rail that comes. You know where the Dutch Bros is at the Y? It's right across the street. There's this wood rail that comes out in between these two buildings, and it's actually pretty gnarly. It's
can't believe it.
tall and yeah, it's only heel side if you're regular. And I can't back 50. I never could. So I like board slid it, which was sketchy. But no camera, no nothing. Like we just did it. Yeah, it was. Yeah, just for the love of the game, I guess. Yeah, it was like an October night, and we were like, dude, let's go get some snow and just find something. And we stumbled on that. We filmed a bit for the Collective, which we did like a snowboard extra for the Pistol movie that Mike made. And that was the most street I had done for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had some stuff just on the side. I hit the NC rail at one point with just like my parents' point and shoot camera. Got a photo on that with the Jeep headlights like lighting it up.
That's rad.
That was just me and Josh, just 2-man session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot that kind of went down in that at the North Central.
Yeah.
For a little bit.
Yeah, that was a good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good
It needs
stuff
to come
there.
back.
Yeah. Yeah. The Collective stuff was the most serious we ever we're taking things like actually trying to make like little parts and do hard shit.
Yeah. Scary
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, I got hurt doing it. Yeah. So
What happened?
I blew my knee out. I like ACL, MCL, and a bunch of meniscus.
Yep.
So
How old were you at the time?
It's probably 25,
Okay.
mid-20s, mid to late 27 maybe. I'm kind of getting old, but yeah, like it was the most I pushed myself for sure. And then it was just kind of a fluke thing. It's in the video. Like if you watch the extras in that part, I try and do a back 3 off this ledge at Gary. It's not there anymore at the middle school.
Mm-hmm.
But you're hauling ass, you have to like gap over a stair set onto a flat ledge, and then it's got a big drop off the end. And I tried to backside 3 off of it and just was twisted up and came up toe edge just a little early, and my front knee just went. Yeah.
No fun. That's the worst.
Yeah, that was the most major. Like that was a bummer because I was like peak. I'd say at my best and most serious. I was taking snowboarding, I guess you'd say.
Mm-hmm.
I never really took it that seriously, but it was just, yeah, we were actually like trying to make a project and do something, and it sucked. I was out for the rest of that year and all of the next year.
Mm-hmm. And that's when recovery time too is a lot longer.
Yeah, the
as well.
meniscus they stitched a lot of it up, and that trying to save as much of that, it's extend like ACL you can kind of bounce back, but
Mm-hmm.
meniscus stuff that put me out for a long time. That was rough.
Definitely.
Was that your worst injury?
Yeah,
Snowboarding.
definitely.
And
yeah.
between that and skateboarding?
Yep. Yeah. I other than that, just I'd like everything was snowboarding. Never got that hurt skating, thankfully, but yeah, I broke my wrist in Utah snowboarding. Just like I remember trying to backside 180 off a rainbow rail and just 90ing to my heel edge and just being young. I was in like 7th grade. Yeah. And yeah.
Put your hand down and
Yeah,
snap.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, I had a pretty bad concussion at Mount Spokane too. That like shook me pretty hard. But we came back out after we went in and came back out at like 4:30. And there's a steep section underneath the bunny chair where you can just drop in to go down to chair 3.
Yeah.
And I literally just like popped off that and like went to put my toe edge in and just slipped out on like it had iced up while we were inside.
Yeah.
Just bounced my goggles off the ground, and yeah, that sucked. That was a while ago.
That was sick, huh?
Dude,
That's the
you
word.
could like
Not sick.
see the imprint around where my goggles were. But that was the only time I was ever like, yeah, I was like knocked out. I wasn't out, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
We'd got on the lift, and my buddy Ryan Campbell was with me, and he said I was just talking like nonsense on the chair, and he realized he's like, oh shit, like we gotta go. And I kept saying, I was like, I'm fine, dude, I know what happened. And he's like, you just said that like 4 times. Like I kept like repeating myself over and over again, you know. So,
like a good friend.
yeah, he's a good dude. Yeah, he took care of me. He's like, just follow me, and we like got down to the car, and he probably took my boots off for me. Even he's a good dude.
Well,
like, yeah.
Well, we touched on it a little bit, but with Pistol, but we got a trivia question for you here. But
Oh shit. Okay.
what was Pistol's first ever Instagram post?
First ever Instagram post? I don't know. I was kind of late to the gram. I don't know. The only thing I could think of is like the front of the shop when it was next to the Blue Spark.
It's still on Instagram right now.
That was a great guess.
That was a guess, though.
I mean, you don't win or lose anything, just your pride.
Yeah,
but it's actually a photo of you.
No way. No way.
Yeah, I think the caption.
I look kind of
post.
I look kind of
that you're holding it down.
Yeah. No way. One of the.
I've seen it.
We'll put the photo up for listeners.
That's the first photo on his gram.
That's the first photo.
No way.
Yeah, it's something like Mason's holding it down. So
yeah.
Thanks, Yandel, for.
I subbed in for some shifts at the shop for sure. Grip some boards. That's funny. I did not know that. Yeah, that's news to me. That's cool.
So on that subject, can you get into like talking about working at the shop?
Yeah. So I mean, mostly, I was mostly just like shop kid. Like Josh kind of put me on the team. Like early, I met him when he first opened the shop. Me and like Rose and Wing. And we got on the team and just like started riding with Yandel, and kind of, yeah, that was kind of our deal for a while. We just had like a small, tight knit crew. The couple guys that skated for him at the time, we were friends with, and he was cool enough to, kind of help us out. And yeah. And then I didn't really work there that much, but it was just kind of one of those things like when Josh needed help, I was like, and we all kind of did, at the time. It was pretty just like a family deal. But he always was super good to us, and shout out Josh. He's done that for a lot more people than,
than we hear about.
Know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's a hometown hero for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would agree with that.
But it was fun. It was always fun working in there, but we just chill out, try and keep the tweakers at bay, and just like,
it wasn't as bad in the first spot.
Yeah.
Right. But that was next to the old Blue Spark.
Yeah.
What's it called now? What's the Blue Spark called now? Is it the waffle place?
I don't know.
Gosh, there's been a few things since.
I don't know. I think it's like a waffle. I think it's the waffle. But yeah, when he moved around the corner, that's when it got.
Yeah. There's like a little mini mart that opened up next to him, and that just started drawing.
Yeah. The Fenty free
Yeah.
crowd.
Yeah. A certain crowd for sure. But it was always so funny to be in there with Josh because he just
no filter,
no shit. Yeah, yeah. So it's a good time.
So you already touched on this. You filmed with the collective,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. Is there any other? Is that when you got injured doing that, or
yeah? I was
is there
filming
any
for
other
that.
Good stories about, or anything you'd like to share about doing that? I mean, you've already, I don't know.
Yeah, kind of
praised Josh and complimented on everything that you're doing with that.
I mean, at the time, I would say it was really sick. That was when Jake Rose really started to just like go off. Mm-hmm. And so we were all kind of rallying behind him because we knew he had something extra. So I think that was a big part of it. When he knocked his teeth out, that was pretty gnarly too.
Were you there for that?
Yeah. Me and Josh like bro towed him in. Yeah, I watched from above, but yeah, it was pretty gnarly.
Yes,
but that whole project was sweet. It was just fun, like good bonding with the crew. Like Mike was filming, Jagger was, and like Mitch Richmond, RIP, JB. But yeah, it was cool. It was just like fun to be a part of something like that. I always kind of wanted to, but we just never really had the means. None of our friends wanted to film each other. We'd rather snowboard,
Mhm.
So it was cool to have Mike be down and actually like go out and search for spots, and it was a really good time. Yeah, it sucked to get hurt. It was kind of towards the end of it, but it was cool. Yeah, Jake really like was on one at that point, and it was cool because it paid off. He started like he got on smoking right
yeah.
after that.
He went to Japan.
Yeah, I got on a trip, was like getting some time in the mags, and yeah, it was cool because he was kind of the younger, not much younger than me, but he was part of a little bit younger crew, and so I knew him when he was in high school and just like a Grom, and it was cool. He was just like to watch him really progress and get good was really sick. Yeah, he's one of the early dudes to come out of Mount Spokane like with some serious
Yeah,
skill.
full guns a blazing.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just the shit.
He's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Did you have a crew name for that section? Or just collective?
No, we didn't. We didn't. Just the Pistol crew. But
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
I'm surprised in hindsight.
Any other projects after that?
No, that was honestly that was kind of the end of my like park and rails days. Like I'll still rip through, but I was a powder hound in high school, and like Skylar and Tanner and that crew, like we would go out and we would find a single turn if it existed on the mountain, and
They're looking at
yeah,
3 edges.
exactly. So
Same way.
it was always there, like, and we were never like gonna rip the park on a pow day, even in like, yeah, I would do that at my house after,
Right.
that was like, so yeah, it was.
Well, then you probably had snow at your house if it
Yeah,
was a powder
yeah.
at the
So I was
can,
like,
you probably had snow at your
we'll
house.
all stay up, we'll ride, and then go hang out at my parents' place until
That's
9
so
p.m.
sick.
and yeah, until we're wiped. But yeah, we. Sorry, I kind of lost track there for a sec, but
No other projects?
oh yeah, no,
that-
we did some edits and stuff when I was in Colorado. Me and Josh and like my buddy Kevin Rouse. We filmed a bunch of like little mini edits. Some of them were like goofy. We had one called Sunday in My Sweatpants that we wore.
Oh, we need to find that one.
That's a good one. It's still
I just
on.
picture like gray sweatpants.
It's on Vimeo somewhere. Yeah, I think I wore a 49ers starter jacket and sweatpants.
Nice.
And Kevin had like a Denver Broncos starter jacket and sweatpants.
Like the pullovers.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
old 90s. It was
Yeah.
like sweatpants and starter jackets. And we
a
filmed a
vibe.
pretty sick edit. And it was funny. It was kind of because at the time it was at Keystone, and everybody at that time was like so style centric and like tall tees or like super hash. Like it was such a fashion show up there. And we just were like, let's just show up in our sweatpants and like run this park down. Like, and we put on a pretty good edit out of it and stuff. So we did some fun deals like that, but usually they are all pretty lighthearted. But like I said, it was one of those things like nobody in the crew ever really like, we never had like a filmer in our crew. It was like just the homies wanted to snowboard. So
No, that's it. Well, as we're talking about crews, I'm wearing some jib jump gear on here,
I like that.
and they were also talking about filmers.
Yeah.
And just that's a key component if you want to film.
Yeah.
You need someone.
You need somebody who's into it.
He's gonna sit out there, and they were talking 30 below,
Freeze their toes off.
just
and
hanging, and
wait.
not getting bummed out because you're not landing a trick. That whole kind of thing of like just the waiting process. And
It seemed like you guys didn't really care about it, though, right? You guys were just doing it for the love of the game,
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like
lot
there
of
was always
time.
a desire to get like a sponsor or do something like that. And Jason put me on local, like sight unseen, just word of mouth from Josh, I was so like humbled at the time by that. And
That's
then,
killer.
it was really sick, like getting little pro forms and stuff. Like we were just hyped to like have any sort of support or like get a cheap pair of bindings or something, it was just because we were blowing through gear and whatever. But yeah, it was never a huge drive, but it was also kind of a different time, it was like pre-social media. And Colorado was like, I think there was a part of Colorado that was like, let's see what happens. And it was really a good time. And we like met up with, like, got on, like, a Smith rep, met us at a rail jam and, like, hooked us up, and we filmed a bunch of edits down there, and we're just like, but it was kind of short lived. We just ended up, it was one season, and then everybody kind of split.
So, and just to kind of like recap, so you moved down there for a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Right after, I was still going to the falls, and like didn't really know what I was like, if I was going to transfer to a 4-year, like what I wanted to do. And I just got a stir. Like, I had a couple buddies who moved to Meadows, and actually Hood River, and we're just lifties. Tanner was one of them. Ryan Campbell, a couple of those guys, just like, let's take the winter and go like just snowboard and live that kind of lifestyle. And so I went and visited them and just saw how much they were having fun, and like was jealous. I was still going to school. I was like, gosh, dude. So then I got Wild Hair, and I was like, I'm moving to Utah. I'm moving back to Utah. I'm going to go down there and at least spend one winter and just like get on some better terrain.
You're chasing the dragon.
Yeah. It was like, I was just hungry for bigger mountains and more, a cliff, like, or something to, yeah.
That's so funny.
So like, yeah. So I started spitting that around, and then Kevin Rouse and his brother Sam were in Colorado, and we were close friends. We knew them from the area. And Kevin hit me up. He's like, dude, I know you're thinking about moving next year. Like, let's get a house. Let's do it. Like, come to Colorado sick. Like, come down here. So yeah, and it was the first year of the Epic Pass. So we knew we could get like 5 or 6 resorts on one pass. It was at the time like $400, maybe $500, which was insane.
That's crazy.
So we saw that. We just bought the pass without even having anything figured out. And I talked Josh. I actually bought it for Josh. I was like, I'm getting you a pass. You're going to pay me back, but I want you to come. Like, you're coming with me to Colorado. Because he was like down, but I know he needed that little push to make it a for sure thing. I didn't want to I wanted him to come. So anyways, and he was good on it. Yeah, he got me back. But so we went and we lived in this little town called Minturn, like right outside of kind of Vail, Beaver Creek area. Like, we could ride from Vail to our town.
Oh, that's
it's called the Minturn Mile. It's pretty sick, like backcountry, side country run. And we just bummed it, worked as little as we could and snowboard as much as we could. And yeah, the crew kind of split a little bit. I stayed as long as I could and rode until A Basin at the time would stay open until like June. So I made it just until like late spring. And
yeah, that's a fun mountain.
Yeah, A Basin's sick. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was fun to just explore all those places, and it was a great winter. We got a lot of snow, and yeah, it was a good time.
Right. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
that piece.
Yeah, of course.
So I feel like you already answered. You sponsored with Pistol and 77, and you were just out having fun. Yeah, more than getting sponsored. You were just all about like riding.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we were trying to push ourselves, and like I liked rails, like just from having a skate background. Like, I was naturally better at them than other things, I think, and I liked those kind of features. So we started doing rail jams. At the time, rail jams were like really cool, and they were all over the place. So Josh and Kevin kind of talked me into like starting to do those with it, because I was never really competitive. I did like one slope style at Mount Spokane when I was a sophomore, and I think
was it on the Bunny Hill, or where was it?
No, it was back when the park would go off of Chair 3 and under.
Yeah. Actually, I like the jumps that were there.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good time. I remember. I think I board slid one of the rails and got second. Like, yeah, maybe did a 3. Like, it was at the time, there wasn't a whole lot getting thrown down up there. But yeah, a lot of rail jams and stuff. So I tried to do that side. I knew I had like the skill to kind of put down some runs and stuff. But yeah, thankfully. And then I got on Smith for a little bit, like regional. I took a run with this guy Biff, who was like the regional rep. Yeah, and he was stoked on. Josh was already riding for him, and yeah, Wing really kind of like teed me up for a lot of stuff, because I was kind of reserved and not like really looking for that kind of thing. But he was more involved into that side and knew a lot of people, and so it was a good connection there.
One of my favorite questions would be, what's your setup? What are you riding? What's your board, your bindings, your stance, what boots,
Get
your
nerdy.
outerwear.
Yeah, I can nerd out for sure.
It's a little.
I got a new board this year actually that more because I've been riding Meadows. Meadows is my home mountain now. It's very different than the places up here that I'm used to riding. So, I had a Cool Bean, which is like K2. That was my POW board, and I still have it. That's like my surfy POW board. But this year I got a Ride Berserker, which is like Jake Blavelt's kind of taken under his wing and helped design. It's been a team board, I think, for Ride for a long time. It's all mountain, it's stiff, aggressive. It's a sick board. I really like it. And I got Ride A6 bindings on it. And Vans Verse boots. They're one of their stiffer boots.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time I've always had a pretty loose setup. Soft boots. First time I haven't been on unions in like 20 years or something since, like high school. Yeah. And I really like them though. The Ride bindings are sick, but I've been Union Force dog for a long time. And I still have those on my Cool Bean. And I have a GNU Headspace, which is kind of more like park, but I don't really ride that board anymore that much. It's like my rock board
too.
Yeah. It's sick. I like it a lot.
Park board too.
That's a rock park.
Yeah.
Whatever board.
Utility board.
Very beginning and very end of the year. I'll get on that. But I like the Berserker a lot. That ride board it's fun and it's perfect for Meadows because you're getting on a lot of like steep lines, kind of hairy. You got to billy goat a little bit and you need like a good edge. And so that board, and it's pretty stiff and it rips. Yeah, it's fun. So I feel a lot more confident on that. But on a deep day, the Cool Bean is hard to beat. The thing's so fun. Perfect for around here in the trees.
Yeah.
So
a short tail.
Yeah. You can wiggle through some tight trees, and it's less fatiguing for sure. That board's so fun.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love that thing. I'll always probably have a board like that in the quiver for sure. But yeah, right now I'm digging the ride setup. It's fun.
Nice. Sick. That's what you're riding now. Do you have a favorite all-time board that you've had, or maybe
I rode Capita boards almost exclusively for a long time, and then Rome. The Rome Agent that I had, I went through like 3 or 4 of those all the way through like my Colorado years. They had a great warranty, and I'd break them right around that 2-year mark, and like.
So you had 3 boards, but
I bought one. Yeah, bought one. And that board was sick at the time. I haven't ridden in a long time, but at the time, that board was like, I progressed more on that Rome Agent than probably any other board. And I was kind of early in the Capita. I got a Capita when I was like a sophomore in high school, and they were like, that was a long time ago. Yeah. They weren't really heard of. Yeah. It was at the time, it's called the Natural. Yeah, Jason Brown was on it. They were doing like Star Wars graphics or like
he's a big
weird
Star Wars guy.
Yeah, totally. They had like a Chewy board that was pretty sick. And it was like an early Corey Smith graphic, I think. But it was sick. And so I liked the Capita and like C3 stuff a lot. Those were good. I thought about getting another Capita this year, but there was something I was like, I just want to try something different. Like I'm getting older, my riding style's changed, and the mountain I'm riding's changed. Yeah. So I thought I'd throw it out there, and I'm really stoked. I like it a lot. It's been fun. And then angles, they've switched on me a lot, especially since my knee injury. But right now I'm wiggling that back foot more posy, but it's getting there. I'm a couple years away from posy, I think.
Zero?
You're posy now, right?
Yeah.
I'm -3, but
that's where I'm at.
I think next year I'll start at 0 and maybe go posy 3 in the back.
Come to the dark side.
Yeah, and then I'm
probably posy.
I'm a Karua, yeah.
Oh sure. Man, yeah.
And I don't go crazy up front. I think I'm like 15 up front. So, but I was like, back in the day, it was all the way out. 12-12 or 15-15, and I just can't do it anymore.
Just quacking away.
I started bringing that back foot in, and it feels really good. Yeah, I like it a lot. And I don't go very wide. I've always been in like a little bit, almost like reference, and then in a little on the front foot.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe like 1 click in on the front.
Just be careful when you go to board slide or rail again.
Yeah, posy, throwing the board slide. Probably looks sweet though.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. So before we get into Uprise, I got to pee. We're back from just a little bit quick break here. But we want to give a big shout out to our partners, supporters, Uprise Brewery. Ooh, cracking some can. They have their new seasonal beer out, and I think we're all drinking one here. And it's the Mexican lager. So it's our Mexican style lager. It's fabulous. If you know me, I love Corona. It's I would say it's almost better than a Corona because it doesn't have the skunkiness to it.
Almost, it's definitely better.
You think it's definitely better?
Yeah.
So definitely better, in Ryan's opinion, and I think I have to agree on that. You don't need a lime for this thing. You just open this guy up, you can drink it.
Just at the brewery, they give you a lime.
Just as it. So if you want a lime, you can get a lime, but if not, solid beer. So they are doing live music soon, so check that out. They do have their run club on Mondays. They do trivia on Tuesday nights. So support our community, support local, support Uprise Brewery. So thanks, Ryan, for continuing to support us. Now we're going to get into the fun stuff. Now we got to know you a little bit better. But before we do that, when I was reaching out to a few individuals to, kind of get a little more dirt on you, I didn't get it like anything. Everyone was like, such a good guy, amazing human being, like so rad. He's going to be recording with you guys. And I'm going to quote a little something from Viz. And he said you were actually someone that he idolized growing up.
No shit.
Yeah.
He said that?
Yeah. So, I mean...
Thanks, Viz. That's crazy to hear. That's really cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, pretty awesome, I think. And I guess that's another reason why this has been fun of having you on, of not knowing you real well. And the reason why this podcast has kind of grown to what it is that we can tell some of these stories that maybe, haven't been told, that you were this, a pivotal piece to the Spokane terrain parks.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Dang, that's crazy to hear. That's really cool.
Yeah. So thanks, Viz, for reaching out. And then we get in. I just tee up to tell you all this good stuff, so then we can get into some of the other stuff. And you can plead the fifth if you want on some of these. But I have Airport Odwalas. What comes to mind when I say that?
Airport Odwalas. Yeah. Okay. So when we were in Colorado, we were hunting for jobs right away. We got there in November. All the mountains had already done their hiring, and we couldn't find shit for work. We're in the middle of the mountains, there's no, and we didn't probably try that hard in hindsight, just like threw a couple applications into places. But we got this job at Eagle Airport. It's just like up the road, small mountain airport, and I was selling like newspapers at the place. Like it was so the most boring job.
Kiosks.
Yeah, I straight up was at one point at a kiosk, just like reading the local Eagle news, like to kill time. And but there's a little coffee, like Java something in the back, and Josh and I worked in there at one point, and we would go into the storage closet, and there's like a bunch of Odwalla, like $7 fruit drinks or whatever. We go in there and just like pound one back and then go back out and like throw it away or whatever. So we knew we were like out of sight, and we were poor like snowboard bums.
Snowboarders need to
just
eat.
like slamming Odwallas in the storage closet. And there's these two twins that worked there. They're kind of goofy dudes, and we were like told them that we did that. And then they started to, and they got caught and got fired because they were leaving their bottles in the storage room. So somebody found out that there's a bunch of Odwallas being chugged in the storage closet. But yeah, I remember hearing that, like, oh shit, they got caught. But we were like, yeah, we go back there all the time and just pound Odwallas.
You didn't tell them that, hey, you gotta throw it away somewhere else.
You can't, yeah.
You gotta be smarter than that.
Don't leave any evidence. Come on.
You gotta be smarter than that.
Yeah.
So the next question is a space cookie and a road trip to Mount Hood.
Oh, that's what he's talking about. Okay. I got off work one Friday and was like, I'm taking my PTO and we're going to Mount Hood. And we had some friends at the time down there. And I was like, Josh, let's go. Like, dinner time, we just dipped. Like, we're going to mob down to Mount Hood, stay for the weekend. and Josh ate. I might have had some too, but we had some medicinal treats that we partook in, or I don't know if I did, probably not. I was driving, but Josh
allegedly,
did. Yeah, Josh did, and we missed the turn in Ritzville, like out of Ritzville to go south, and we just like
I've done that before.
Yeah, and it was snowing, it was late, and it's just like, you know, when you're driving in the snow at night, and
it's like Star Wars.
Yeah. And we didn't we didn't realize we missed the turn until we were like almost in Ellensburg. Like we made it so far before we like, oh shit, dude, I think we were supposed to turn in Ritzville. So it took us like 6 or 7 hours to get down to Hood, and we showed up at like 2:30 in the morning or something. Our friends were living in Parkdale, like at the base of the mountain. It was rowdy. But I remember having to pull over every 15 minutes because Josh had to pee so much. And we just like, it was so late, we'd just like pull over on the side of the highway, get back on, pull back over.
Yeah.
But yeah, Josh ate a couple too many cookies, I think, too.
I can see that.
Yeah. Going into the gas station and being like, oh.
You got to keep an eye on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the next one is a Scion, sleeping in a Scion in Portland.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we went down to, I think Josh mentioned it a little bit on his episode. We went down, we got to the finals for this rail jam tour that
the cricket
put on. Yeah. But it was actually sick. It was at Gonzaga. There was like a huge turnout on the campus, and the features were really good. And at the time, it was like pretty serious deal. They did a whole tour around college campuses in the country, and then if you placed, you got to go to Portland and Pioneer Square. They would do the finals.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Josh and Kevin Keast, I don't know if you know him, super sick skateboarder, but also just so naturally good at snowboarding. He would ride like 5 times a year and just be better than everybody else. But yeah, he came down with us, and him and his brothers like got an apartment or a hotel, and Josh and I like, we'll just sleep in the Scion. Josh had this toaster of a car, and we spent so much time in that thing. But yeah, we slept, we went down, slept in that thing overnight, I think maybe 2 nights. And
was it like the little Scion, like
it's a just straight
like with the mouse
box,
with the mouse driving it?
Yeah, it's just a
or
box.
gerbils or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Surprisingly spacious inside those things, you know. But yeah, we slept in. I remember just sleeping like reclined in the front seat. And yeah, after snowboarding at this rail jam and just getting bodied for hours. And then the best part, I don't know why we did, but we went straight from that to the Sasquatch Music Festival for the first time we'd ever been.
So it was like this time of year.
Yeah, it was
Memorial weekend.
Yep, it was exactly. And so we did that and then just drove straight up to the gorge and to a music festival for like
That's
4 days,
awesome.
3 days.
Just car camping. Straight to Sasquatch.
Moved straight from
smelling
sleeping
like
yeah.
Sasquatches.
It was gnarly, yeah. But at the time, we were just like, hell yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
That's right.
That's
it's
awesome.
cheaper if we sleep in the car. Like,
For sure.
yeah. He knew. He's like, oh, I know that if I go, I've stayed this hotel. Like, you can get in. There's some showers, and like, yeah, we just poached this hotel showers and snuck into the pool area or whatever.
Dude, slamming out Wallace, sneaking into shower.
Yeah, making it work.
you have to though.
Yeah.
And then this kind of last piece for me is Vale Rail Jam, and this is also from Josh Wing. You boys killed it, but the judges were maybe a little biased.
Yeah.
Did you have the gray sweatpants on this
No,
point?
no, that was
That's why.
Yeah, didn't run those very much, but yeah, it was early when we first got there, and we went to a rail jam at Vale. It was nighttime. Like Kevin Rouse, me, Josh, and I mean, and like we thought we did really well. Like but nobody, like everybody else kind of knew each other, and we weren't like local at the time. And I remember, yeah, Josh and I have kind of talked about it a little bit recently. It just came back up, but Kevin specifically like was so much better than he was doing by far the hardest stuff. And at the time, tricks that like weren't really common to be done. And none of us like made it into, I don't even know if we made it into any sort of finals or anything like that, but it was one of those things where like damn,
You
like,
got vibed out.
yeah, we did. We got Colorado, it's a different vibe for sure. But yeah, that was a thing. Yeah, we were kind of like, man, like, okay, like I see how it is down here. It's different scene, different people, but yeah, taste to know people.
Nice. I like all the stories, the mountain stories. My favorite one was when you're like, sometimes you're just one turn.
Yeah.
One turn, I'm good for the day, and I have that vibe too. But deeper question is, do you have a most memorable or favorite all time on the mountain?
Pinpointing it down to one is going to be really hard, but there is one time where I remember there's a couple that I could pinpoint, but I remember the
top three.
There's a few that were really memorable. Like the first time we found out about chair 1 to 4 at Mount Spokane, it was like late high school, and it just unlocked this whole part of the mountain that we didn't know was capable. And it was one of those things. There's like a ski patroller, somebody who worked up there. He's like, go like you're going to chair 2 off of the top of 1. When you see the opening, just go. And when you get to the bottom, take a right.
Yep.
I'm like, okay. And I remember just going back there for the first time with a couple buddies. And then from then on, that was like mandatory. That's like what we rode until they opened 6. And then we still like have our spots. But that was really memorable. I mean, some of the like high school nights, just riding until close and then dancing to like ridiculous music in the back of the car until like the employees were already gone, just like not wanting to go home, like it's a school night and we're just like having too much fun. We had a mix called just Tanner Likes to Dance Volume 2. And
Volume 2.
It had like this, yeah. I would love to dig that thing out, and it just had like stupid songs on it but yeah, and we just like blare that and dance and be annoying and
find that cassette somewhere.
Yeah, it's around for sure.
Playlists like that need to be added to Spotify, so everybody can listen.
We should try and figure out what was on that. Yeah, specifically Volume 2.
Volume 1 was a little whack.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Those were memorable, like a lot of those nights. I remember.
No, those are great.
Yeah, I remember one specific night, like there was a big group of us. It wasn't crazy good weather or anything, but I was in the back of like our crew watching everybody come down the cat track, the highway, I-90. And I just had this like moment to myself, like, this is the shit. Like, this is what it's all about. Like watching my friends like rip up the walls and hit side hits. And I was just kind of in the back, like, this is the coolest thing. This is like the coolest thing I can do with my friends. And so I think back on that for sure.
Those are the moments that you love and
yeah,
do what you're doing because you love it.
Yeah. It was, I finally was able to like almost come back and like really see what was going on, like almost come out of the moment, but in a good way, like, and see it from another perspective. But yeah, there's a lot. We had so much fun. Like we always tried to make it as fun as possible, seeing how the smallest thing we could backflip off of was always like a thing. Like, what's the tiniest shit you can do a flip off of? Yeah, a lot of good times for sure.
Are you still ripping with any of the homies from back then, or?
Yeah, Skylar, Tanner, Ryan Campbell lives in Hood River with me. Like, he was my homie when we moved down there. He's like my contact, so he's a school teacher though, so it's pretty hard to get him out. I ride weekdays because it's a zoo on the weekends at Meadows. So it's a little harder for us to link up, but literally like that crew is still, they were just down in Hood River visiting my wife and I and getting some laps in. And yeah, that high school, it's funny, they're still my closest friends for sure. And then when we go to Mount Spokane, there's that like turns into 20 old friends. There's a like generational crews that all like if we're there, we're linking up.
Yeah, you're all going like this.
Yeah,
yeah, that French dip, son.
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Rose and his whole crew of friends. They were a couple years younger than us at Mount Spokane, and we started to all ride together. And then, yeah, if they're there, that kind of doubled the crews, like him and his buddies who are a few years younger, and then like me and my friends. We all just started to, as we grew up, we all got closer and started riding together. We'd do some pretty fun like party laps on South Face or something, and yeah, so it's cool. That's the special thing about Mount Spokane. You could go there and you're always gonna find people to ride with, and
That's true.
yeah, at least for me growing up out there, for sure.
Yeah, I think you're up there enough, or anybody that's up there enough will.
Yeah, you'll find your scene for sure, your crew.
You just mentioned riding with your wife and your family. You have kids.
Yeah, two boys.
Would you be bummed if your kids don't snowboard?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, selfishly because I want to be able to snowboard with them, and they've gotten quite a bit of reps in, and my older son is 8, turns 9 in a month, and then our younger boy is 5, and both of them, are like figuring it out for sure. And I'm trying not to, like, I'm not pushing them at it, but they see
you
how
want to
much
make it fun for them. You don't
exactly
want them to hate it.
Yeah, if we make it 45 minutes and they're over it, like we're out. Like it's their day. When we go up, it's like, let's make this fun. And they do. They seem to like it. Our older boy is like, he's starting to figure it out pretty good. And it's a lot of work. It's hard to take the kids up, like, but it's so rewarding and so fun. So yeah, it's cool. But I hope for sure that at some point I can like share a powder day with them, and that's the goal. And whether they like, it becomes as passionate about it, that's kind of on them. But I'm gonna certainly be doing it, and they'll see me and Jenny, my wife, being passionate about it.
And she
she rips, dude. Yeah, she can hang for sure. So it's cool.
I feel these kiddos they'll be shredded.
We hope so for sure. It's cool. It's fun to watch them like kind of figuring it out and learning and wanting to go. That's sick.
It's a great attitude to have, to obviously like to just not pressure them, because you gotta let them want to find their own joy and their own accord,
Totally. And it's as a parent, it's hard. You see like little kids on Instagram that are just ripping, and you're like, but you don't know what's behind that a lot of times, and like kids are like, if at the end of the day, if they don't, and that's just not their thing, then that's okay. Like, but as somebody who loves it and has been so influential in my life, it's obviously you hope that they can find some pocket of it that they can see that too. But it's a balance as a parent for sure.
If your life was a snowboard movie, what would the title be?
Damn, heavy question.
That's such a hard question.
What?
It's heavy moments.
If my life was a snowboard movie.
I mean, we talked about robot food, so you can't take any of their titles.
Yeah, I know. Like a lot of the good ones are taken. Dude. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe think on that one,
like,
and then give
like
us an answer.
Trash bags and tomahawks or something.
Like trash bags and crustaches.
Yeah, something. Yeah,
and sweatpants.
Yeah,
trash bags, tomahawks, and sweatpants.
That's good.
Good stuff. Yeah, a lot of the good ones are taken. The hard, hungry, and the homeless.
Yep.
Part 2.
Yeah.
There you go. Volume 2. Yeah, there you go.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
Let's get into some passions outside of snowboarding. Do you still skate at all?
Not as much as I would like to, but the concrete's harder now.
That shit hurts.
I swear that shit's cured, a lot more these days. But yeah, my older son Nolan has gotten kind of into it too. So take him down to the local, like Hood River's got a sick skate park, and just built a quarter pipe for the neighborhood kids like over spring break. And
that's awesome.
Yeah,
on your property.
Yeah, it's in our garage.
Oh, so you're just having another service coming to the house.
It comes out to the sidewalk for the kids. Yeah,
rails at your parents' house, and now you got a quarter pipe at your house.
QP at the house, and trying to make some like little kid, size features and stuff. But
you say dad size features?
Yeah. Also they're for me too, just as much. But I skate a lot, like just bombing around the neighborhood with the kids, and like that's how I go. Like if one of my boys is like at a kid's house down the street, that's like how I go. So I ride it a lot, but I don't like. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've flipped the board or anything, but yeah, still passionate about it. Like skateboarding is a huge influence as well, and outside of that, like me and Ryan got really into golf once I moved to Hood River. Like I always played with my dad growing up, and it was kind of our thing. Like when we had some time, and so golf a lot, and then just dad shit for sure. Just hanging out with my boys. It's like my favorite.
Are they in any sports right now? Or
Yeah, I'm coaching our 5-year-old's baseball team, and that's really fun. And then our older son's playing soccer. And Jenny and I were both soccer players our whole lives, like all through high school, after high school. So it's been fun. I don't know if he's like digging it as much as we did, but we've kind of just like let him see, like he's done taekwondo and soccer and baseball, and we're just like, dude, we'll try it all, whatever you want to do, man. Like figure it out. But our little guy, he's super good at baseball, and we're like gunning for it.
Yeah,
like
you're gonna be a baller.
Let's go.
You're going to the league.
Just one contract, dude. If you can just get one contract.
Dude, good luck being a little league dad.
Yeah, I know, right? But it is fun. He's like
that's awesome.
5 years old and just loves baseball, and he's always out front like shooting hoops, and he's our sports guy for sure. I mean, being the little brother, he's like got to hang and keep up.
Shoulder.
Yeah, oh yeah, big old chip. But yeah, it's cool. And then just spending time. Like, we're pretty busy just with like work life, kids, that kind of stuff, and yeah, in the off season we try and make some trips and camp a lot, and yeah, that's the main thing.
Sick. What about splitboarding?
Dude, I've never gone splitboarding, and every year I think about it and want to. And Mount Hood's got lots of good riding, and Ryan, because being a teacher, he's like gotten into it. Although he's kind of switching to skis because it's more efficient apparently, but I've been flipping him shit for that for years.
Right.
I'm like, dude, no.
Stop
But anyways, yeah, I really want to.
skis.
The cost of entry is kind of puts me off, and like the time that I have to do it. But I think there's gonna be a day for sure where I just like, nah, I'm just gonna start splitting and avoiding crowds as much as I can. And but yeah, it's always been an interest for sure, something I've wanted to get into. But yeah,
You'll get out there
Yeah.
eventually.
the day will come. Once I get a board, I'm sure I'll nerd out on it and get
Yeah,
into it.
especially I think we hit it a lot early season. It's
Uh-huh.
kind of what our MO has kind of been of when the mountains aren't open but they're getting snow, and
Yeah,
um,
or Meadows still has so much snow right now. Like you could get some good turns even just postseason. But yeah, it'd be fun. There's a lot of good access to terrain out there too.
well, sweet. We know who we can come down and visit for Hood.
Yeah, I can show you guys around. It's a fun mountain.
This pulls us into our hot takes, which we try to go fast, but we never seem to get through them fast. But
Maybe
we'll kick
we
those.
need a smelling salt.
Yeah. So what's
before?
I've been holding
Oh.
this for a while.
I saw you getting all you're like a fidget spinner over there. We'll blast this one off, and then we'll just start asking questions.
All right. Yeah,
Sound
sounds good.
good?
Yeah.
Ooh, that was a good sound.
Oh,
It's more powerful when you hold it for a while.
I went too hard that time. Ooh,
Perfect. Parker powder.
Spicy powder every time.
Preach.
Yep. Always.
Favorite person to road trip with
Road trip.
in the Scion?
Yeah, it would be Josh for sure. It's fun to do anything with.
I can picture you guys in that sky, just crushing it and pulling over every 13 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of good times in the Scion.
When he's like, "Let's go for a road trip," you're driving.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
All right, is snowboarding an art, a sport,
gosh,
or a lifestyle? As you're crying.
I know that one went all left side.
Mine was
just
all left side,
straight
too.
to my
Yeah.
eyeball. For me, it's a lifestyle for sure. I think for some people treat it as a sport. But yeah, like my life revolved around it and continues to an extent.
Can't take you seriously,
dude. It's so bad. Oh my gosh. I think it like maybe I lifted it past my eye as I went, but that one was spicy. Yeah, I'd say lifestyle personally. I think that, for me, it was always something that my life revolved heavily around. I tried to do things so that I could snowboard, and yeah.
Good answer. Here's a spicy one for you. Who has the better style, Rose or Wing? Or you can take the fifth if you don't want to get into it.
Yeah, really trying to fuck up some friendships here.
This is definitely a cop out, but Rose on the steel and Josh in the air.
Oh, perfect answer.
Yeah. As long as he can get his feet under him, Josh in the air for sure. Yeah, he had sick jump style. And then Rose, I just loved watching him tackle the streets or anything. He's got such good style.
I love him.
He's good in the air too, though. I mean, you can't lose with that, or you can only lose with that question. Yeah.
I was like, we need a new one. And I was like, I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All
right. In your opinion, what local never really got the shine they deserve?
I think, gosh, that's tough. I think, honestly, Kevin Rouse. That dude was so good. Best style, best trick selection, so fun to watch. And granted, he moved to Colorado and like did some cool stuff, but he was so good. And I don't think a lot of people realized at the time like how good he was. He was super humble and quiet, but just let his riding talk for him. And was so sick, so good. I would say I would put him on.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's really cool to see people actually like. And Rose, I think he could have, he took it, but I think he had it in him to even continue past,
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard. You get older. We're like a kind of a different generation, But so that's why it's so cool to see Austin like doing what he does, and like Spokane pride for sure. It's really cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Skinny pants or baggy?
Currently, there's a limit to the baggy though. That Aladdin pant shit.
Dude, I'm with you, man. Dude, that's one of my pet peeves.
Sometimes it's so bad you can't see their knees bending in their pants. And so the style
dude, all the girls are on that game now too, and
it's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
But at a time, like some tight Holden pants was pretty sick. That was like
in my head. That's what I picture. Like you guys' crew was like.
Dude, I was running Holden for a long time. Yeah, the sweatpants were tight too, for sure.
Yeah, dude, athletic fit, man.
But right now I'm running like baggy light. It's pretty nice.
Baggy light.
Right in the middle.
I like it. It feels good.
Yeah. It still has a little style. You
Yep.
can see the knees bent.
Yeah, the tight stuff was crazy. I never did sew them in or nothing. But,
Oh,
just a good cut from Holden at the time was pretty good. But some of the kids that I think they had their parents, like your mom, stitched their knees in and stuff. It was so crazy.
So tight.
It got crazy. Yeah.
I don't know how. Yeah.
In like the early 2000s, right? It was just
but still somehow flared it out over the boot. So it looked crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny.
Couldn't do it. What's a whack trend in snowboarding?
A whack trend is powder panic.
Powder panic.
That drives me crazy. I feel I didn't, probably because I never felt it around here. You could go up at 10 o'clock in Mount Spokane and get good turns for the rest of the day. But at Meadows, it's like you're competing with everybody from Portland and like the cities coming up, and it's just a lot crazier vibe. You got to know where to go, which has been fun for me to figure the mountain out and like find my path through it. But just
the traffic jams,
the traffic. Thankfully, coming out of Hood River is like so chill. But like I don't know if you follow the Govey 500, but there's a whole Instagram account to like the Portland side of like the dark side of Hood and like the shit show that it is like. So, and then it's kind of funny. Yeah, it's called the Govey 500.
That's great.
It's a great account. Like definitely follow that. But it's just, sometimes you get up there and like it just the vibes kind of off in the lift lines, and there's just like antsy. I don't know, and it's easy to. It's just like, man, everybody chill out. Like it's all good, you know.
No, it's good. That's a great answer.
But there's some other trends I could go on, but
we can leave it there.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
That's a good one. Favorite snowboard video?
There's a few that were super influential to me, but I would say probably either Afterbang or Lame, like the first 2 robot food movies. Probably Lame. Yeah, I watched those. Watched those so much. There's a couple, or like the first one I ever had was Resistance, and so that was really cool. I watched that probably more than any other video, just because that was the only snowboard video I had for a long time.
So was it tape or?
Yeah, I still have it on tape. Yeah, Afterbang on tape too. I got that at the premiere in Utah. I went to like the Afterbang movie premiere. It's pretty sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite snowboarder growing up?
Growing up, probably Scotty Whitlake.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's sick. Dude.
Yeah, seriously.
I like those movies a lot. Brainstorm, and just the way he could like ride anything and was pushing. Yeah, he was pushing it, and then just his whole like style and mentality, and just like punk rock attitude.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck mentality.
Yeah. I remember hearing a story like his first board royalties. He was living out of his car at Hood and riding, and got his first board royalties and just gave it to like Food Not Bombs, and just like needed it because he's living in his. But he's just that kind of dude. Like never cared about money, bounced out of the game like at his peak because he was just over like the corporate side. I don't know. There's something to his lore that was always sick, I think. But,
yeah.
But also Nico.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that sounds like some Nico vibes right there.
Yeah,
because bounces out when he's at his prime.
Dude, he was probably my favorite to watch though. Just the way he rides a mountain is so special.
Yeah, definitely different lens on it.
Yeah, 2 very different snowboarders, but super sick in their own ways.
Yeah, great inspiration. You've already kind of talked about this, but like favorite person. Maybe to ride with, and we talked about crews. That was kind of the other half of this, like crews. So we'll probably kick that out. So maybe if you're just gonna say there would be one favorite person that if you had to narrow it to one, who would it be?
Who would you sit on the chairlift with?
Yeah,
that's real. It's tough. Probably Wing though. Like, yeah, we had so much goddamn fun like riding. It's just being so silly and but also like pushing each other, and you know, we could really like feed off of each other's energy and like ride really hard like right next to each other and know that, you know, he's got my back or knows what I'm gonna do or vice versa. And Skylar as well, like that dude was so good at figuring out mountains and finding powder and finding runs, and we have a lot of history riding together too, and I love riding with him as well. So I got to give him a shout out.
Cool.
He's so sick.
What current pro has the best style?
Currently, that's tough. I like in like the streets. I've always liked Jake Cusick. I think he's like got like the way he's like really perfectionist on how he lands, and like he'll keep doing a trick over and over again until he gets it just right. Kind of like Reynolds in skating, like he's just really OCD about it. Tommy Gesme is super fun to watch in the streets.
Great style.
At a time, Keegan Valeka, I always liked his like loose style. There's a lot of guys, but yeah. And then as far as jumps and stuff go, I really like watching like Mason Jar. He's just like balls to the wall. Or there's a newer kid. Like I think his Insta's BMO the Barrel Seeker.
Oh yeah,
Blake Muller.
Yeah, he was just on Bumhole.
Yeah. I think he got a second in Natty this year, and like he's so insanely good at riding everything and doing insane tricks off of really crazy lines that'd be scary to drop in on. He's like just hucking into, and there's a lot of good talent out there these days. It's been fun to watch.
Thanks for narrowing that down for us.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. No, that's great. That's great.
What's your favorite mountain you've ever ridden?
Mount Baker.
Yes.
For sure. Yep. Mount Baker. place. There's something to it. There's like something kind of magical about Mount Baker. I've been lucky enough to have been there on some really good powder days and powder weeks, like getting snowed in and not being able to leave for days on end. And yeah, that place is really sweet.
I think we would all agree.
Yeah, if you've been there, you know.
On
yeah,
on
if you've
on
been
that
there
one.
a good day.
Then the last question is the GOAT, greatest of all time.
Greatest of all time. Probably Nico. Yeah, I think so. That guy is just so good. Everything he did was super sick, and he was pushing it.
So, yeah,
that kind of ties in. There's a lot of really sick guys. JP Walker, just like still being a part of it, and what he did for like street snowboarding, is undeniable. Yeah. I was always really like attracted to Nicholas Mueller.
Yeah, two great choices. Yeah. Lastly, what's next for you? What do you have going on in life and whatnot?
Yeah, just enjoying living in Hood River and spending time with my family. Yeah, it's a sick place to live, and we really like it there. I mean, we miss Spokane, but yeah, it's been really cool to become a part of that community. And it's a small town, but everybody's rad and really tight knit. It's like I couldn't picture a better place to raise the boys. So yeah, just keep kind of finding our path there, and watch the boys grow up. It's been a trip for sure.
Yeah, that's rad.
Yeah, it's crazy, very humbling. Being a dad is wild.
I bet humbling and rewarding.
Yeah, very, very rewarding.
And then lastly, thank yous or any shout outs?
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to my wife, Jenny. She's the shit. She's so cool. And I can't thank her enough. She's the reason we're in Hood River, and she works really hard for the family. And big shout out to her, Josh, Jason, anybody who like recognized me in snowboarding and cared, then stuck their neck out for me. Thanks to you guys for having me on. It's been really cool.
Yeah.
I was so nervous, and it's been good.
You've been great, man.
Yeah, a little mom spaghetti situation on the drive here. No, it was good. But and just shout out to like Spokane snowboarding, like, and everybody who is out there taking care of each other and pushing each other. It's cool. And I'm really grateful to have grown up in that community and with those people.
Yeah. Well, we're stoked to have you, on taking the time, out of your weekend to spend some time with us as you are driving 4 hours away.
Yeah.
So we appreciate it. Thanks for sharing your story, and awesome episode.
Sick. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's fun.